Hello, I'm Cara Dahl Russell. We continue our series, Courtly Love and the Cult of the Virgin, with today our topic being Persian love poetry. This week we're considering some of the cultural elements that combine to set the stage for the concept of courtly love. Yesterday we discussed the isolation of individual castles within a kingdom, each having its own fairly autonomous rule. And while a woman's status was still generally defined through her father or husband, women were also legally set apart, and some women held their own businesses, and a very lucky few came to power through the absence of a husband at war or as regent to an underage son. For many centuries, a broad swath of southern Europe had been diverse and multicultural, primarily through the necessity of trade routes by both land and water, settlements along these routes, and the resulting flow of goods, slaves, tradesmen, emissaries, and the interplay of cultural elements, food, music, and intellectual exchange. As the nobility and royalty began to intermarry to solidify their political, geographic, and financial advantages, these cultural influences spread northward in Europe through the 1000s. Today we focus on one particular cultural influence, Persian love poetry. In particular, the story of Vis and Ramin. This story is generally conceded to be the origin of the story Tristan and Isolde, and while the best-known version of this story was a verse romance written in the year 1000 by poet Fakir al-Din Asad Jorjani, it is known that the tale dates back at least to the year 700, when it is mentioned by the Arab poet Abu Nawas. In the story, King Mobad of Marv is in love with Sabru, the queen of Ma. She refuses his offer of marriage, but promises him that if she has a girl child, that child will be given to him as a bride. She does have a girl. That girl is Vis, and she is brought up in the court of Mobad, alongside his younger brother, Ramin. Like the tales of Scheherazade, these stories were meant to take up many evenings, so the tale has many convoluted turns, including a first unconsummated marriage of Vis to another king, a war, the discovery that Vis loves Ramin, her banishment, a trial by fire to prove her chastity, an escape, the nurse of Vis sneaking in to take the place of Vis in Mobad's bed at night, Ramin scaling a wall to save Vis from imprisonment. Are you noticing scenes here that were later used by Shakespeare? Still, more wars, more separation and trials ensue, but eventually our plucky heroine and our volatile and loyal hero are married and enjoy a fruitful 2 sons and long 80-year reign together. And finally, when she dies, he mourns at her tomb for 2 years until they are united together in the tomb for eternity. So here we have a well-known story from centuries ago being written down in the year 1000 as another element of the international social climate. A story of lovers fighting and succeeding against an arranged marriage and against social norms. The romance and longing joined with many scenes at night, adding to the atmosphere of danger, romance, and intrigue. Our hero is also regularly proving himself in battle. In this essential retelling of the story, we also have open and frank, but not prurient, inclusion of natural elements of sexuality, including impotence, menstruation, and childbirth. These elements give the story cross-cultural relevance. Bear in mind that this is a culture where kings had harems, but in this story, the overriding love of one woman lifts her up above other women, and the overriding loyal love is lifted above the promises of kings or religion or morality. All of this wrapped in the verbal arabesques of floral love poetry that would not be found again in art until the Rococo period. This intoxicating mix of adventure and romance influenced the extended songs and stories of the contemporary troubadours that we will explore tomorrow, another element in the basic culture that set the stage for the concepts and practices of courtly love. Today we will hear traditional Persian music, luscious love songs of composer Dee Dee Effendi, who lived from 1778 to 1846, but worked with older musical forms and traditional Persian instruments. Beautifully Singing Nightingale and A Lovely Rose. The lyrics of both evoke the poetry of courtly love. Beautifully singing nightingale, keep your homage everywhere apt. I am your servant. Be gentle with me. A lovely rose I admired. My heart still clings to you, O my charming maiden, my deep brown sweetheart, my graceful dark beauty, my amber clad, O my charming maiden, my heart's magnet, O you with your pearl white teeth. You are clothed with hyacinths, O my charming maiden.